How could the king says, how could I value coming out of Egypt? How could you? Shalom Aleichem Yosef. Even though the Jewish people had all these things, they did. This is the worst nation in the world. They did the golden calf. So the rabbi answers two answers, and the king is not happy with those answers. The first answer was, listen, the Jewish people are so great, so even when they do something small bad, it's considered a big deal. That's the first answer. In other words, it's something small they did. The sin of golden calf is like a little thing. It's not something major. You don't have to get so excited about it. It's called Akadosh Baruch Hu medakdek im tzadikim kechut hasera. God is very, very strict with the righteous people, even if they do the smallest little thing. It's not for us. We don't understand it. You don't understand how great the Jewish people are, but huge people like Yosef, for him to say, when he's in prison, to say to the minister of beverages, please remind Paro that I'm here. That's a sin. Why? You have to do ishtadlut, you have to put out effort, but on his level, he has to only rely on God and not try to do tricks and ways to get out that's not relying on God. It was a lack of faith. We can't understand that. But yes, God is very strict. So Moshe Rabbeinu, instead of talking to the rock, he hit the rock. Come on, what's the big deal? He said, go talk to the rock. Okay, rock. He talked and he hit. What's so bad? We can't understand. So that's the first answer. Was the Jewish people are so incredible, they're so great, and God is very strict with them. It's a rare mistake. There's a difference between a person who is a bad person and a person that does something bad. Even a good person has a mistake here and there and does something bad and makes a mistake and has a fall or messes up. Those are the first two answers. And the king says, what? You're saying that idol worshipping is just like a little mistake that they did here and there. Like, okay, I killed him, right? All I did was kill a person. It's rare. It happens, once in my lifetime. I killed somebody. Come on. What are you making a big deal? But you're talking idol worshipping? That they made an idol and they bowed down to it and they said, you are our God who took us out of Egypt. That back room with the name they make, and you're just living in dream world.
So it's like as if the rabbi is covering up in that.
Exactly. The words that he says, the Kuzari, he says, I'll read to you the words he uses. The words he uses. Where were the uses? The words that he uses is, he's like, לא תיטע בסיפורי שבחי עמך ותעזוב מה שהתפרסם. Oh, sorry. Here. זה מנתותך ועזרך לעמך, because you love your nation so much. This is in 104. Because you love your nation so much, you're not able to see their mistakes, and you're basically sweeping it under the carpet. That was the first answer. And then the king goes into the rabbi goes deeper, and he says, you know what? Before I even go into explaining to you the actual details of the sin of the golden calf, first I want to explain to you something that you don't understand. You're not understanding how great this nation is. That nothing they can do externally can take away from their greatness. Why? Because God chose them. And when God chooses the Jewish people, it's not what you think that God chooses. chose you for a job, we agree. You didn't do your job, you messed up, now he chose us. He took another nation. God needed a nation for a mission. No. You're misunderstanding. This is the essence of this book. When God chooses something, he creates it. It means that we have something that's called the sgula, and then he goes again, the Kuzari goes through again the process of explaining. Let me explain to you how it comes down. It didn't come out of nowhere. It started from Adam Arishon. Do you understand what Adam Arishon is? It's a human being that was created at the age of 20. He didn't have parents. He didn't have like any Yetzer Hara. He had no difficulties. He was at the highest intellectual level of understanding, highest spiritual level of understanding. He was perfect in every level of perfection. And then that segula, that inherent, value that he had was passed on to certain people. It skipped a generation sometimes. Adam, Noach, Shet. In other words, God shows us, and this perfection and this value goes on until it became a nation. Yaakov Avinu was a big change. Now it's no longer in individuals, it's in a nation. The word nation, the Arizal explains, the word, the name, what does it mean, nation? Is it letters? And in this nation, you have righteous people, you have people that are mediocre, and you have people that are bad. But as long as they are connected to the nation, they have that value, they have that soul, they have that ability to understand that. And like we said, it was passed on from Adam to Hevel to Shet to Noach to Shem and Ever and Avram, Yitzchak and Yaakov, and this is the way it works. And so he goes through it again to understand that, first of all, understand that the sin, a relationship of a husband and a wife, but a child, Banim atem Hashem Elohechem, you are my child. This segula is handed down to us through the it's basically it's like we're born. It's like a fruit tree gives a fruit tree will give fruit, so that we have a segula that's passed down by parents. Sometimes somebody can lose it, very difficult to lose it, but somebody who, let's say, converts to Christianity or something like that can lose the segula, and but the nation can never lose it, and it's always there, and it doesn't get erased. So after all this, we come back to where we are. This is where we are now. So the king is, even after all that, the king still says, I'm not, sorry, it doesn't really do it for me. I understand what you're saying, that the Jewish people come from Adam and they have a segula and they're so incredible. That's amazing, right? But I still have a question. My question is that, okay, the fact is, they did something very bad. Zot bemet gdula nimshechem Adam. I understand the greatness that comes from Adam and Adam was really something new, was something that, like, we call the fifth creation, because we have stones, we have plant life, we have animals, we have humans, and then we have the Jewish nation. So it's a new creation. I understand that. I understand that Adam was a giant and that you have this thing. It's great. That you're very special. You're a special type of people. But still, this sin is a huge sin, and maybe it was gone after he did that. Maybe that's the end of it. Right? Where does it stand now? So this is what we're reading. If you read, we're in 106. Malkusis bemet hi hagdula nimshechet me'adam. I still am not happy with your answer. והאדם היה גדול שבבריות הארץ, נתחייב לכם הגדולה, אבל איה הגדולה הזאת מן החטאת הזאת. What's left of it? In other words, I don't know. Maybe you lost it. And now comes a very big answer to going into the actual. Let's deal with the sin itself. Okay? Let's deal with the sin itself. So now we're in 107. Okay? Maybe, like we're saying, maybe the sin shows that we don't have this godly gift. So the answer is Amar Chaver. Ki haumot kulam bezman hahu hayu ovdim tsurot. First of all, you have to put yourself into the context of the historical period that we're talking about. All the nations in those times were serving images, whether it's statues or other types of pictures. And even if let's say the philosophers, not Jewish philosophers, even non-Jewish philosophers would come and they would come to the understanding that God is one. And they would explain that God is one. לא היו עומדים מבלי צורה שמכוונים אליה ואומרים להמונם כי הצורה הזאת ידבק בה עניין אלוהי. כי היא מיוחדת בדבר מופלא נוכרי. The only way that they would be able to, in those days, to be able to convince people to get on board would be if they would have said, okay, God is one, but you see this stick, through praying to this stick, you can connect to God as one. In other words, people cannot, I don't know what the word is in Hebrew, but there's something called mufshat. People wouldn't be able to just wrap their mind around it or connect to something that is not, doesn't have some type of materialistic expression, some type of physical connection, which basically, this is deeper than we always think of the people that were in the past. Oh, those stupid people, they bow down to rocks. No, there's a deep thought behind it. It's that God is so great and I can't go and just communicate to God. I need something through it I can connect to God. So even if the philosophers will come up with ideas saying God is one, someone would say it's God. But we also, the Jewish people, have something that we say that the land of Israel, the dirt of Israel is holy, right? God is reveals himself in Yerushalayim. We also have physical things that we need that help us to connect to God. People need stars or something, or all kinds of astrological signs or something they need to grasp. So first of all, let me break down, the rabbi says, let me first break down one. It was something bad. They did something wrong. We'll explain what it was. But there's levels of idol worshipping. And in those times, people needed something physical. So you have to look at the sin was basically, they said, through this idol, through this calf, we will connect to God. So it was not a way of replacing God. It was a way of connecting to God through something physical, because we need something to hold on to. Okay? We are physical beings, and we need something physical to hold on to. And that's how we hug the Torah, and we kiss the Torah, and we kiss the stones of the Kotel, and we kiss the holy books. And we have a shul, a physical place we go to. Wait, why is God here more than he is outside of the shul? And how do you kiss a Torah? Right? This is big questions. So basically, and obviously when we kiss the Torah, we're not thinking that this is God. It's like you have a letter from someone you love, and that letter, your wife sends you a letter, and you're so happy to get this letter, you kiss the letter. Do you think the letter is your wife? No. But you have to be very careful, because there were certain times where we actually turned the Torah into idol worshipping. When did we do that? We turned it into idol worshipping. In the time of Shmuel HaNavi, we went to war against the Plishtim, and we lost. because we took the Torah with us, that this is how we're going to win. They had their idol that was called Dagon, and we had our what's it called? We had our statue that was called the Torah, that we forgot that it's not the Torah. It's Hashem that is how we defeat, and it's Hashem that gives us the power, and no physical thing that like this good luck charm that through it we can win. So it's it's dangerous, right? But yes, no. The first answer that the rabbi says is no religion would have the power to pull believers without having a physical thing to hold on to, and we needed that also. That's what it is. Unfortunately, we're also human beings, and we were in a primitive state, and we needed physical things that we go through it. Okay, so now understand even more why the challenge was so big. והיו בני ישראל מצפים למה שיעד אותם משה. Not only did we need physical things, Moshe Rabbeinu told us, I'm going to bring you something physical. היו מצפים למה שיעד אותם משה. And we always connected to God through certain things, like we had the Aron in the desert. We said, Kuma Hashem, v'yanusu sanecha, v'yavdu sanecha mepanecha. How could we said to the Aaron, Hashem, get up, and let's go defeat our enemies. How could you call the Aaron Hashem? Right? So obviously we understand that there's a way to serve God through intermediaries that help us. And here we were, not only we're saying it's okay to serve God through physical things, right? Moshe Rabbeinu told us, I'm going up to heaven, I'm bringing you down something. I'm going to bring you something that this will help you connect to God. So we're sitting there waiting for it. We know it's okay to have something that through that something you can connect to God. Right? Another big question is also again, we want to talk more about the physical things that we have to serve God. We had physical things that through them we connect to God. It says that when the cloud would come, we would bow down. The cloud would come. Now we know God is here, and now we bow down. Did anybody think that we were bowing down to the clouds?
No.
Because it was clear that this is the way God reveals himself, through the cloud or through the pillar of fire. We weren't worshiping the pillar of fire. We knew it was God's messenger, and we knew the right context, and that there was no question that we were not bowing down to these things. And we would look at these things. We would see these things. It would bring us, a certain level of we say Yirat Shamayim. Why do we say Yirat Shamayim? Because you look at the heavens and you're uplifted to, but God is everywhere. He's not in the Shamayim, right? So, וכן היו מקבלים עמוד הענן אשר יורד משה בדבר איתו אלוהים והיו עומדים בני ישראל משתחווים נוכחו לאלוהים. Right? The cloud was the revelation of the Shekhinah that is being revealed. So nobody worshipped the cloud, but the cloud was a certain way for us to grasp some physical thing with Hashem. I was learning about this. Today I was davening and I was thinking like, wow, how am I going to connect to God now? When I'm thinking about it, that there's nothing physical that you connect through God. When I was davening. And then when you say the words, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, El HaGadol, HaGibor, HaNorah, Elyon, how do I connect to God? Through whatever relationship he had, whatever connection he had with Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and what he does in the world through his actions, God's actions, but not through any physical thing. וכאשר שמעו העם דברי 10 הדברים ועלה משה על ההר להוריד להם הלוחות. When the Jewish people heard the 10 commandments, and Moshe Rabbeinu went up with the tablets, כתובים לעשות להם ארון, להיות להם דבר נראה, שיכוונו נגדו. This will be a reminder, like we look at the tzitzis. וריתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוותיי. We have this gift that's called tzitzis, and you look at it and you remember all of Hashem's mitzvahs. Okay, that's right. It says tzitzit is the word lehatzit, so we think that God is peeking in on me. Mitzitz ben acharakim, the same way it's called. it says in Shir Shirim, mitzitz min acharakim. God is peeking in through the cracks. That's the tzitzit. I look at this. I remember that. Oh, I have something physical that helps me remember to stay in a certain state of awareness. שבו יהיה ברית אלוהים ובריאה ריבונית, רציני לומר, הלוחות זולת מה שדבק בארון, הענן וכבוד, מה שנראה בעבור המופתים. This would be a reminder of everything they experienced in Har Sinai. It was like the continuation of Har Sinai. They would have a reminder. Imagine, you have the 10 commandments, and it was like a miracle. The stone, the letters were standing from one side to the other in the air. And it was like miraculous, and you would see it, and it would bring you back to that moment. You have it every once in a while. You had this reminder, and it was such a gift. ונשארו העם מצפים לרדת משה, והם על עניינם לא שינו תארם ועדיים ובניהם, and they were sitting there in that same tension, in that same excitement, in that same spiritual level that they were at from receiving the Torah. This is going to be a continuation. עמדו בהם יום מעמד על סיני, they're waiting that day, אך נשארו בתכונתם ממתינים משה, and they're waiting, ובושש משה 40 יום, והוא לא לקח צידה ולא נפרד מהם, אלא על מנת שישוב ליומו. So here they are, Moshe Rabbeinu goes, he has no food, so they know he could last for one day. And they're waiting. And 40 days pass. He didn't take food. He didn't say goodbye. I'll see you guys. I'll see you later. I'll see you in 40 days. So this is basically a machloket between Rashi and Rabbi Yehuda Levi. According to Rashi, Moshe Rabbeinu told them, I'm going for 40 days. And they miscalculated when was the first day. And they thought he's not coming back. According to Rav Yehuda Levi, according to the Kuzari, this is what he's saying here. It's a big chiddush. He's saying they had no idea that he was going for more than one day. So every moment after the first day was already, it demanded of them incredible faith, incredible belief, because he doesn't have food. And how is he surviving? So they could have right away thought he already died. So for 40 days, they're waiting in this level of faith, and they know I'm going to bring you down something that through this something you are going to connect to God. And then what happened? And there's no Moshe Rabbeinu, there's no tablets, there's no Aron, there's no ark, and there's a huge breakdown. And now they started asking a question. Okay, they said, we need to have something else physical to replace these three things. What are we going to do for us to have a connection through God? Moshe Rabbeinu connects us to God. The Luchot is a way for us to reminders. A reminder. What kind of reminder should we do? So first of all, remember, no one here was trying to replace God. This is not idol worshiping. Don't have any other God but me. It was not what you think it was, where they wanted to replace God. It was, how do we replace the reminders, the things that will help us to reconnect, to get back to that state of awareness. Something that I look at it, I kiss it, I touch it, I hug it, I see it. It's physical and it helps me. What are we going to use that through this thing? Because we know, obviously, God wants us to have things to serve Him, because He gave us. We had them with the Esh, we had them with Anan, we had the cloud, we had the fire, we had Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe says, "Bring us tablets So it's not something so shocking that why would they want to make something that's going to help them connect. אז גברה מחשבה רעה על קצת ההמון הגדול ההוא. And then there started an argument. והתחילו המון העם לחלק למחלקות ומרבים העצות ומחשבות. People started throwing out ideas. Groups of people. What are we going to do to connect? And people started coming up with all kinds of ideas. עד שנצטרכו מהם אנשים מבקש נעבוד מורגש יכוונו נגד כשאר האומות מבלי שיכחשו באלוהות מוציאה ממצרים. We're not trying to go against God who took us out of Egypt. It's only a reminder. אבל שיהיה מונח להם לקבל אליו כשיספרו נפלאותיו עליהם כאשר עשו הפלישתים בארון ואמרו כי אלוהים שם. כאשר אנחנו עושים בשמיים בכל דבר שאנחנו יודעים שתנועתנו אמנם בחפץ אלוהים מבלי מקרה they ended up making the golden calf. What did they say? אלא אלוהיך ישראל שהעלוך בארץ מצרים. Do you really think that those people were so stupid that they thought that this calf that they just made took them out of Egypt? You just made the calf. So what are they saying? This is your God, אלה אלוהיך ישראל אשר העלוך מארץ מצרים. No, they thought this is we're gonna look at this and we're gonna remember God who took us out of Egypt. Okay? And that was it. That they were gonna, and there was so much thought behind it. It says that in there's the vision that Yechezkel has where he sees like godly visions, right? Machazeh Nevuah, and it says that he sees like all kinds of different animals. And what does he see? The feet of the animals were like the feet of the show, of the cow, or the bull. So here we are. We're going to be a calf. We're going to take the strength that we have. The calf was like was the tractor of those times. All of our strength, all of our desire, is going to be to serve God. That we're going to look at this. Remember, take all your strength, take all your desires, and use them to serve God. That's a nice idea. So it's like a jumping board. You look at the calf, you remember that like it's pure. I want to be pure. I want to use all my strength for God. I don't remember that God. I want to be a slave for God. Remember when I was a kid, I came to a rabbi. I said, I want to make an earring. He said, no, you're not allowed. I said, yeah, but I want to be like a slave to God. It's very nice, but you're a slave to yourself. It's not. So here we learned an amazing lesson. The lesson is the tools, even the reminders of how to serve God have to come from God. And we know there's something called, the Ramchal talks about it, that you want to do chumras. Where's the place for chumras? Because here we're saying don't invent anything. Be very careful. Only serve God the way He tells you to do it. The sin of the golden calf, the only sin was we didn't get permission to do it. If we would have gotten permission, there would be no problem. It's not the thing itself, it's that you did it without permission. So what is the chumrah? The Ramchal says it's like a father who comes home and says, I'm thirsty. So he tells you he's thirsty. You say, wait, if he's thirsty, he's probably also hungry. So you bring him water and you bring him also something to eat. Chumras that come from what God said, I like this, I want this. Okay, you want this, you like this, I'll expand on it. But not, let me invent something. Let me put, when we daven, okay, we know we have a shul. I'm going to put a picture of a tzaddik, and when I pray, I'm going to pray right in front of in the way you pray. You could put it behind you. You're not praying to it. No, that's not the way to have, you don't have reminders of a tzaddik, right? It's an example of ideas, is that God decides how you will serve Him. וחטאתם הייתה בציור אשר נאסרו עליהם ושיחסו מה שעשו בלי מצוות האלוהים. The mistake was they went with the Ketoret shelo tziva Hashem. It's not enough, and it's exactly the dream of the king. Where in the beginning of the book, he says the king wanted to serve God, and he made sacrifices, and he had a dream, and God said, your intentions are wanted, your actions are not wanted. The intentions are wonderful, but it has to come from the guidance, from how God says he wants you to do it. Right? Lahavdil, your wife, she says, I want this, you bring her, I want flowers, and you bring her, I don't know, a new car. That's not it's very nice, your intentions are good, but this is what I want, I told you what I want. Right? It's very hard, but what do you mean? I brought you something incredible. But that's not what I asked for. Or if you work for somebody, he tells you what the work he wants, and you do something else, and you're like, look what I did, look how much effort I put into it. Like, it's very nice you put effort, it's very nice that your intentions are good, but I hired you for a certain job, and this is what I asked you to do. And he says, so first thing, let's bring down the level of mistake. So first thing we said, it's not idol worshipping. Number two, it comes from a place of a real and good intentions. Number three, it was only 3,000 people. We're talking about 600,000 people, men. Out of the 600,000 men, and there was other millions, children and women and other people, but 600,000 men. But why did Aaron get involved and help them?
His life was threatened. They were threatening to kill him with something.
They killed. They killed Hur, and he was afraid that if they would kill him, it would be such a bad. Not because he was afraid that they would kill him. He was afraid that the judgment on them would be so great if they killed him. And he thought, and this is his mistake, he thought, you have here people that want to do something bad. They want to create this golden calf that God didn't command. And we don't know who are the people that want to do it. Let's make sure that it's clear who are the people who want to do it. In other words, it's in their thought right now. Let them do it. Now it will be clear who's good, who's bad, who's in, who's out. Let's bring it out. And that was his mistake. You don't do that. Even if someone has intentions to do bad, you don't help them do bad in order to catch him on it. Or it was a mistake that Aaron did. It would become clear. Here's the person. It was a mistake, and we learned that. But remember, what is the kruvim? Kruvim it had wings, face of a child, the face of a girl, a boy, hugging. It's a physical thing. It's something that is like, why is that something that's not shocking or something that's not there? Again, and this is the whole point of the book from the beginning. Our whole religion, our whole connection to God comes from above to below. God tells us how to serve us. God decided when he wanted to reveal himself, how he wanted to reveal himself. Everything comes from above, and we have what's called anava, humility. It's very hard. Where am I going to be? Where is my place for innovation? Oh, innovation? Invent technologies, do art, wonderful, but don't invent ways to serve God. Use all your skills. Write poetry, write art, do music, do developments, do high tech. Invent ways to serve God. God explained to us how to do it, which way to do it, and those are the ways that we serve God. And that was the lesson we learned in a very hard way. But it's not simple. So again, remember, we're talking about only 0.5% of the people. It was not that they went against God, and it was right. Wasn't that they went against God? It took them out of Egypt. Yes, God says, the second commandment: do not make a statue. Is do not make a way through that way you'll serve me. That's exactly what it means. So it's not the first one, don't have any other God but me. It's the second one. That,
actually, the text also says that let's appoint a leader going back to Egypt, and I think this proves that
right.
it's not idolatry. It's like
Exactly.
a leader, like Moshe Rabbeinu. Because
Exactly.
Moshe Rabbeinu is out of their eyes.
Exactly. הם עשו צורה ואלה נמתין, they should have waited, שלא יקבו לעצמם דבר שקיבלו וימשכו אחריו מזבח קורבנות. זה העניין הצעת מי שהיה ביניהם, החוזים, this was the people that was with them, the Erev Rav, the negative people that took a ride and joined the, we'll just get out of Egypt. And so there was these people that were very bad people. They were called the Erev Rav. And unfortunately, they pulled us down. וזה היה מעצת מי שהיה ביניהם. He sees that there people go to the doctor and he gives them medicine and they come out and they get healthy. And he has such a desire to help people who are sick. And he goes into the pharmacy and starts handing out medications to people and killing people. Right? In other words, he has great intentions. But serving God is a science. And it's very, very detailed. Like the medications. החושבים שהם משתדלים בעבודה, על כן באו אל הארון, והארון חפץ לגלות מצפונם, and then we explain, and then that's what happened. So the rabbi here is really explaining the zchut for Am Yisrael, that they were basically tricked by the all kinds of Zara and the right intentions. And therefore, והדבר הוא היה מרוחק ומגונה אצלנו מפני שאין בזמן הזה צורות נבדלות ברוב האומות והיה קל בזמן ההוא מפני שהיו עושים כל האומות צורות לעובדם. And I know it's so hard for you to understand, Mr. King. It's hard for you to understand how are people creating this image that through that they need God. You don't understand that because you're not living in that time. ואילו הייתה חטאתם שעשו רצונם לעבודה, but if they would have created a shul and said, through this place we're gonna pray to God, and through this there's a physical place. To you it wouldn't be so shocking because you're used to having a place of prayer. Yes, but it's strange when you think about it. Wait, why are you deciding that God is in this? To you that seems normal, but in those times it was normal to have a statue or something that through that you connect to God. Yes.
Isn't Melech Kuzari, isn't he already Oved Avodah Zarah?
Exactly. That's
why is he so confused by the use of statues?
Because he hears how bad it is to us. But no, again, he was Avodah Zarah. It's a good question. He was Avodah Zarah, but he wasn't using like statues we're doing during those times, making sacrifice. So he says, yeah, and if they would have done that, so it was the same thing. Like you don't understand it. Right? Again, he's like, obviously you're not understanding. Right? אפשר שנאמר שהשכינה חלה בהם המלאכים יכולים לשפוטם ולולא הצורך להתחבר כולנו היה הדבר הזה נוכרי. Right? So like today we see people have shuls and you're not shocked because to you that's okay. But it's the same thing. It's the same sin. If I'm going to say God is in this room and he's not over there and I can connect to him through this room, through this place where I pray, that's also could look like idol worshiping. The only reason why it's okay is because we were told you're allowed to do that. And therefore, and also this reminds us the importance of remembering that these things are only reminders, and this helps us to connect to God, and that's the ultimate service of God is that we want to connect to God, and these are just ways to help us to hold on to something, or we go to a certain place, and now it's like you put on your running shoes, you're ready for a jog. It puts you in the mindset. I'm now in a shul. I'm in a place where, if it wasn't for God allowing us and telling us this is how we can do it, it would also be shocking. It also look like a bad thing. כאשר היה בממלכים שהיו מוחים באנשים משתדלים שהיו עושים בתים לעבודה. And actually, he says before, and actually, there was a time where it was considered a sin to make a place to serve God. היו נקראים במות. והיו חסידי המלכים הורסים אותם, כדי שלא יגדלו זולת הבית אשר בחר בו אלוהים, אשר ציווה בה, ולא היה הדבר נוכרי בצורות אשר ציווה בהם הקרובים. People served these, they used to take stones and make like an altar and sacrifice it, and that's how you used to serve God. And that was okay. It was a certain time you were allowed to do that. Only when the temple was built, it says that God said no longer, no, you're not allowed to serve me through. That's how people served God. It was completely, it was not allowed as soon as we came into Israel. Right? And then it was allowed and not allowed until the temple was built. Like it was first wasn't allowed, and then it was allowed. It was sort of like back and forth. As soon as there was one center, that's it. There's no individual. You don't now find a way, an individual way of serving God. That was like your personal way of serving God, was through having these bamot, these altars. So therefore, what you're not used to seems very strange, but the fact that Jewish people created this calf was not very strange in those times, and therefore, right, there's no difference between what we call the golden calf or an altar that used to be okay and then it's not. So therefore, let's put it in perspective. Those people were punished who did the golden calf, and they were killed, and it was only 3,000 people. But and if you think that it was such a bad sin and it was so terrible and they did the worst thing ever, then why, after they did it, lo pasak haman, the man kept coming, ve'anan, and the cloud of glory was stayed above them, ve'amud ha'esh, and the pillar of fire kept guiding them, right? Ve'lo ne'edar mehem davar mikol asher natan lehem zulat shnei haluchot. Everything they had kept going with them, besides the and after the sin of the golden calf, and after the sin that they did, those individuals, it didn't stop the one of the skulot, that gift, that importance, that inherent value. It didn't sin. It didn't end. And yes, so they made a mistake. They did something that they shouldn't have done, and they were punished for it. But it was not what you think. It's not as great as you thought. And then the king says, we'll learn next week his answer. But his answer is like, wow, you. This is it. This is the end of my. You basically answered my question. Now I understand everything. Now I understand that what I did wrong. Now I understand about where God said your actions are not wanted, because there's no such a thing as creating actions on your own. Now I get it, right? And he's like, thank you. Wow. We'll keep going next week about it, but basically this was like the moment where the king goes, wow. And again, at the end of this, the first chapter, he converts. Mm-hmm. So whatever he was told hit home, and he was ready to take it on. So we'll keep going next week. Thank you very much, everybody.